live streaming?
We do. We missed like the first 10 seconds starting for the recording.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Teach Me How to Prezi training session presented by Brian Merritt. I just want to give you some housekeeping tips. Please keep your voices down to a minimum because there are microphones on all campuses in the smart rooms. Please raise your hand if you have a question or wait until Brian asks for them. Also, we will be live streaming and recording this session. So for those that are unable to attend, you can go to the HR Blackboard site, click on Professional Development, and this session will be recorded and uploaded there. I'm going to now hand it over to Brian, and he's going to teach us how to Prezi.
Hey everybody.
Hey.
How's everybody doing?
Yay!
We got 3 folks in here, or can we, I guess let's look and see if anyone showed up in the other campuses. Is that Barbara?
Yeah, I'm hanging out to see if they show up.
Hey Barbara. Is there anybody?
Hey.
It looks like Pittsburgh's empty, but that's okay.
It's empty.
Might have some people watching online, so we'll watch what we say. So. All right, so we'll if we switch it to this mode, we can still hear them if they have questions,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll probably need to remind me in just a little while to make sure if we switch it back to the big mode to go back and look and see if anyone's there if they have questions, because I would rather just show the screen. So, all right, y'all ready? Here we go. So we are going to learn a little bit about Prezi today. I've used Prezi 4 or 5 times before. Who's used Prezi before? All right, we got 2 out of 5 people in this room who have used it before. And I've used it 4 or 5 times. Like I said, I kind of taught it myself. There's a lot of great resources that we'll see. But I just wanted to hear from you all, who are here in the room at least, why you're here. So we don't have enough people to do a 1-minute kind of pair and share. So just tell me, have you used it? Why'd you choose to come today? And what do you think about it? Just since you used it a little bit, a couple people have used it.
I used it for a presentation.
Okay.
I did it because I wanted to learn a little bit about it.
All right.
I never used it before. I thought instead of PowerPoint slides, can I make it more interactive,
All right.
more convenient?
Cool.
And overall, I felt like there's got to be more to it.
Okay.
I felt that I only know the very basic level of Prezi. So I thought there had been interest in Prezi, and I thought, you know what, I could
Great.
learn a little more myself.
Okay. Amanda, did you say you used it? Was that yours? What have you used? Did you just use it for presentations?
Yeah, presentations when I was a student.
Okay. Just for like class presentations?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Why'd you choose Prezi over other delivery formats?
I didn't have a choice.
Didn't have a choice? Oh, it was an assignment?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, thank you for choosing to come today. So those of you who are, if you used it or not, why'd y'all come here? Why'd y'all come? Just because I was presenting?
Yeah.
All right.
Constantly wanting to learn.
You want to learn,
Yes.
all right. Dacia's happy. She's like, come on,
Right.
y'all. Jill, are you planning to use Prezi at all?
Well, Dean Matthews used it for the first time, I believe, a couple weeks ago, and he was sharing that he, really liked it.
Cool.
So I want to learn more about it.
Well, Prezi is like Dacia said, it sounds like she's used it. A couple people have used it, but I think a lot of times Prezi is just so different from PowerPoint, so different, and you'll see how. But it seems like a lot of times when I first started using it, I thought the same thing. There's probably so much more to this, but there's some tricks along the way and some things that I've taught myself, and there's probably even more to it that I know. But I'm going to try to teach you a couple things today. But like I said, I'm not a total expert, but I've used Prezi enough to kind of know the basics, help you all become a little more familiar about how and why to use it, and then just kind of demonstrate how it can help you be more creative and innovative rather than PowerPoint or some others that are out there right now. So here we go. And I will say that I've added some kind of cool things in here. If you see Charlie throughout the presentation, there's no one on the other campus. So, but if you see Charlie in the presentation, just scream Prezi, and I might have a prize for you. So Dacia had originally named this session. It's not that complicated. Something about Prezi, I forget. And I didn't even ask her. I just changed the title to Teach Me How to Prezi, because every time I hear the word Prezi, I think of this song, and I want y'all to think of me as Justin Bieber today. So I put this video in here just to be fun. Let's see if it works. you never know if this stuff is going to work when you actually use Prezi. So,
No, she's sweet. She's a
so
sweetheart.
y'all think of me
Yeah.
as Justin
Good answer.
Bieber.
All right, so
I'm going to teach you how to Prezi today.
you're
just
going to
like
teach me a dance.
Justin
It's the
Bieber
Dougie.
taught
Is that what it is?
me.
I got to teach you how to do it.
today.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. All right. Move your head with it.
But if everyone wants to stand up,
Yeah.
I'm standing up. So this is a song called "Teach Me How to Dougie."
All right, and then the cat daddy. Yeah. The cat daddy's with the Dougie. So you go cross. Yeah. Cross. Wheelchair.
All right, so we'll come back to Justin Bieber, but y'all think of me as Justin Bieber in your Ellen. So why use Prezi? Not just because it's an assignment. You know, if it's an assignment, you have to use it, sure. But it's really, I just think it's easy to use. It's innovative. It also allows you to tell a story. The thing with PowerPoint is, it's really hard to, even beyond PowerPoint. So I don't want to just like bash PowerPoint, but there's limitations to so many things. But really, Prezi, it's got some great resources there for you to use. I know today we're sitting in a kind of a classroom. You're not hands-on. We're not building a Prezi, so it's one of those things that you actually have to teach yourself. But there's some really great resources out there that you can use, to help you along the way. So here's one of those that I put in here, and Daisha told me, do not just show videos, and I said I'm not going to do that. But I just wanted to. If you go to Prezi.com, all of this Prezi is web-based. So if you very basic at the very basic level, you just go to Prezi.com and you actually just that's where you start building your Prezi. But you sign up for an account, and then all your Prezis are saved there. So it's like PowerPoints. You usually have to save them on your jump drive or email them to yourself, or put it on your computer and access it. You can actually access Prezis through the web. So that's really cool. But the cool thing about it is they have really, really great. Here's one video. I'm not going to show everything, but I'm just going to let you see one of the different.
To get started in Prezi, first click New Prezi. Prezi's templates are like a visual metaphor. Each one is designed to help you share your ideas with the world. Whether you want to share an adventure, show your results, or impress future employers, we have a template for you. When you've found one you like, click Use Template. The template will appear on the canvas, ready for you to edit.
So I'm going to pause right here. The thing about Prezi is it's really like, PowerPoint gives you the ability to create multiple slides, just slide after slide after slide. The way Prezi works is when you log in to create your presentation, it gives you this big white blank template that basically is yours. So it's yours to create whatever kind of presentation you want. Like this one right here, I bet if I kept playing, it looks like it's a tree, and the presentation is going to take you from whatever the story is. It probably has something. The story of the presentation is being made. It has some kind of theme around a tree, or maybe it's like a presentation about someone's family tree, and they're starting at the roots or starting at the top and going down to the roots of our family. So it gives you the ability to have this big white blank slate, and then you can put pictures, you can put links, you can do put whatever you want on there, and navigate around the photo, navigate around the images, that sort of thing, to tell your story. But it's got some really great features. So I'm just going to show a little.
Then content is easy. To add text, just click anywhere on the canvas and start typing.
So
There are lots of ways to customize your text.
There.
You can change the font,
Very easy to change
alignment, and even add a background color. You can also customize the theme of your Prezi. Each theme changes the colors, fonts, and backgrounds of your Prezi.
So this is actually really it's a really cool feature of Prezi. But I found as I've used it, you have different themes, and it changes around your fonts and your wording and your colors and all that stuff. But what I found is that you've got to find your right theme. If you have favorite colors, you've got to do this from the very beginning. When you log into Prezi, you have your big white template. You add in your first photos. If you choose your theme at the beginning and really want to stick to it, as far as that's my recommendation, because a lot of times it's if you want to make your Prezi look consistent, I think a lot about that whenever I'm doing presentations is how does it look from the outside view. You want to make sure that you have the similar fonts and similar kind of consistency throughout. So it's if you choose one theme and then the next time you're on the next slide you're choosing your next theme, it's really tough. So, or it makes it look, less consistent. But sometimes I've gotten about halfway through a Prezi and I realized, I don't really like this thing too much. So, you have to go back through and you can change it. But it's important to know.
Just click on a few to see how they look. Prezi uses frames to keep your
And I want to show you one more part.
text or an image.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to demonstrate that just a little bit. So that's just there's lots. This is only the basic. This is actually the first. If you go to the help part of Prezi, the help link on Prezi, this is actually the very first video. So they're really, really well created and they're easy to follow. So that's really what I really like about Prezi. Is that you can, when you're lost, it's really easy to figure out, how to get where you want to go. So do y'all have any questions just about the big blank white template? Does that make sense to you? That it just gives you, a huge. It's like having a canvas and being able to paint your picture or tell your story. You just have to figure out how to get there. So, and a way you can do that is let me just actually go. Yeah, there's some templates that I'll show you in just a little bit. But there's some templates that you can do. If you're not as creative as others are, you can actually go in and find templates that we'll show you in just a little bit. But it gives you a big blank white screen. But the thing is about Prezi that I like to make sure that people know, especially you can actually go in and create an account and I think pay a small fee per year to actually have like some more advanced features in Prezi. But the public Prezi accounts, they're shared. So this basically means that when you're creating a Prezi, it's out there in the world. If you're using it and you're I've created 3 or 4 that I'll show you some in a few. And I've got some, you can actually share them with other people. I'll show you some at the end that Dane Peterson, who works on this campus, he has created some really great Prezis, but he's gone in and he's actually shared those Prezis with me. They're actually under my account, so you have my little favorites account. So, but the thing is, Prezis are open and public to the world, so you have to remember that. So, Amanda, do you have a question?
It's been a while since I messed with it, but I thought I used an education account, which made them private.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If you can use you can create your own account, then it's public to the world. But if you have a specific education account, then there's probably licenses and things out there. But you can pay for your own account. Here at the college, I'm not sure if do we have any Prezi accounts? I'm not sure if we actually have an actual a purchased account through Prezi. But the ones that are, if you just create your own free account, then it is public. If I'm incorrect about that, then we'll do a rebuttal on the Blackboard site and let you know. But that's from what I understand, that's how it works. There's also an autoplay option. So if you ever wanted to create, videos, like really creative videos, like you saw just a few minutes ago, that was created. Prezi created their videos with Prezi. So, but you can actually click autoplay and put, music and things like that behind it, and make it fun. Actually, right now, behind on the background of this, whenever we need to have like a little fun dance party, that background is in the background. Second, you can actually insert background music, if you want to have your Prezi created so you just play it and not stand up here and actually present with it, there's an autoplay option where you can just create the Prezi and then it rotates for you. So I'm telling you, it's a lot different than PowerPoint. It's a lot different than other systems. It's a really cool tool. Instead of me sitting here and actually going through Prezi and actually creating a Prezi, I was thinking about doing it that way and showing you some of this. I just took some screenshots of different tools within and different tips within Prezi, just to kind of show you and help you become familiar. We're going to log in just a little bit and show you a little bit more in detail about the actual system, but these are just some of the tools within Prezi. This is the transformation tool, and what you do is actually when you're creating and you have your big white canvas, when you create, you can see how I'm moving back and forth right here, and going from slide to slide. All of these are called frame types or frames. So you've got 4 different frames here: a bracket, a circle, a rectangle, and a hidden frame. So on your big white canvas, what you do is when you log in, you actually just click on frame types at the top, and then you create your first, if you start with a big blank frame, you click bracket, and then you can create, a frame that looks like a bracket. I think I've got the circle frame right here and right here. So I've got a big circle, and basically what it does is, as you create those, Prezi, as you do your presentation, it goes from frame to frame to frame. So you've got the flexibility of having a bracket, a circle, or a rectangle frame as you create your kind of navigational tool. Now you saw earlier that tree that someone had created a Prezi. They put a big image on the middle of their screen, and what they did is they put these brackets and circles kind of around the tree. So what happens is when they do their presentation, if I show them the video a little bit more, that the presentation is actually going to take them around the tree. So as they go through. So again, it all goes back to telling your story. It's all about, if you, like for this, it was really hard for me to kind of figure out what kind of story I wanted to tell. I was trying to think of some different ways to organize this, the actual navigation, but I decided just to put some cheap music in there and make it fun. But in a little bit, I'll show you one that Dane's created that actually really cool, that it has more design to it as far as, very creative. So here's a template, a couple templates. So they've got one template here that's like, it's called the journey. So it's kind of like footprints. So what you can do is you can actually, choose that, and if you wanted, if you're telling a story, or doing a presentation that's kind of, what would you use? Let's see, help me think of some things. If you use the footprint template.
I used that on a virtual field trip.
Yeah, there you go.
For my class, it took students to different places.
What other? Let's see. Here's one called the Big Idea. It's a light bulb with, it's just got some basic circles. So, what would be the type of presentation you could use that template with? The Big Idea, and it's got a light bulb on it. So, if you're doing a presentation or maybe a faculty member is doing something on the Industrial Revolution, or on some different historical things, they could use that. And there's a lot of templates in here. I know that templates are really for those of us it's hard to come up with our own things. But I encourage you to use these. But at the same time, it's have y'all used any other type of templates, or did you, when you created Prezis, did you actually tell a story, or did you do anything really creative, or did you just go in and add circles and brackets and stuff? Did you just use the journey?
I've used that one with one, and the other I don't remember. My old age is getting to me.
Old age, I know, that's how it goes. So here's the templates. Here's it's just right up at the top. I'm going to log in just a little bit to show you, but right up at the top you've got three choices. Like Daisha said earlier, I feel like there's so much more to it, but honestly, there's really not. There's frames and brackets. There's insert, and then there's themes and templates. So I'm going to show you in just a little bit how to use the insert button a little bit more. But honestly, when you're creating your Prezi and putting stuff on your big blank template, there's three options up here that you really work with. And there's on the left-hand side, you're going to see in a second. There's a navigational tool, and there's some other a few other things that pop up on the right-hand side. But it's very simple to use as long as you. I would suggest watching that video for the first time before you first use it, because it is it's a great tool, but it's really if you're stuck in the PowerPoint mode, if you're stuck in the if you've only used that in the past, then watching that video before you actually use it is actually probably a great idea. But one thing that I love about Prezi is it just you can reduce the clutter. You can PowerPoint. It's really easy just to. Have y'all been in the PowerPoint or the presentations where you just slide after slide of just text? It's just so easy to do that. It really is. Because when you're working with PowerPoint and others, you can, it's hard to be this creative. But you always have to remember when you're doing your Prezi to, use those brackets and put your bracket around so it actually will frame things, properly as you navigate. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. And the other thing is, really good Prezis have these smooth transitions, and they go from slide to slide. That as you're creating your Prezi, you can actually you figure out how you want to transition to the next slide, how to make it where you want it to go to really create meaning. Because the thing is, as you put your videos and your images in here, there's tools that you can use to actually rotate those and help tell your story as you go through. So I was showing this to David actually right before we got started. I looked on YouTube just to see what Prezzies were out there. There are some really cool. What did you say?
Prezi.
This is the Prezi. She's. I was like, what are you talking about? Amanda won the first Prezi prize. Here's a beautiful Veterans Upper Bound notebook with some paper in it. So you got to scream it next time. There's only one left, so next time if you see Charlie, you have to scream Prezi, or you're not going to get the notebook. But that was good. You whispered. You threw me off. I forgot it was there. I was like, what is she talking about? All right, so this video is actually really cool. It was created with Prezi, but it is actually, I like the images and the way that it rotates, and it's very creative and well done. It's a very advanced Prezi, but I just wanted to show you one that's very advanced. I don't think it does a great job introducing what it is, because I'm still having a hard time kind of understanding what this video is about. But I just love the images and the way that they used it. So watch this for a second. So there's some sound in just a second. So welcome to your next presentation. I think it's a video about Prezi and about what it can do, but it just kind of shows you.
Hand in hand on the warm sand, we are walking barefoot and free.
So you see how they had the airplane that went to the window? There's another window in the airplane, and then
in your eyes,
in a second it's gonna go down back to Earth.
I see blue skies
So
reflection,
it's went from the airplane back to the
and everything is blue and
back to
blurry.
the building, back in the window, the door. This is a window.
Kissed by sun, loved by wind.
You see what? Do you understand kind of what I was saying at the beginning? How it got from the plane to the window? How that navigation was created? Do y'all understand how that happened? How did I make it go from? Well, I didn't make this, but how would I make it go from the plane to the window of the building? The navigation.
Transition.
Theme?
Which one? No.
Transition.
Yeah, the transition, the frames. Yeah, what's going to happen is, and I put this here for a reason. I wanted to show you kind of a brief overview at the beginning, but what happens is you have a blank Prezi. See, it gives you this big white blank space right here. So, and on the left-hand side, you've got this navigational bar where you start creating it's kind of like PowerPoint where you have your slides, slide by slide by slide. So what happened in that video is they had this, a larger image that we probably would see at the end of the video. But there was probably an airplane up here, and there's a building right here. But what happens is you draw your bracket. Ooh, look at this. This is the first time I've actually done this correctly. Usually I touch this and it turns off. So if the plane's up here and the building was down here, then you see as I do that, what happens is, I didn't click that. Oh. I'm not used to doing this on the smartphone. So there's my first. Hi Mary, how are you? So there's my first. I'm just gonna do it on the computer. See, I was gonna mess up. So that was my first slide right there. And then if I go down and create a new, well, I did this earlier and it worked perfectly. So let me just go back to my presentation and show you. So here's the presentation I was just doing. So let's say I wanted to click and add something new to this. If I wanted to make it navigate down to down here or over to the next slide, what I would do is I would just draw my bracket or draw my frame and put it right there, and then see it adds over here. So I can move it up, I can find where I was right here, and so we were just on this frame. So I click present, and I'm doing this in the web-based system. I'm logged in online, and I'm actually presenting online. Later on, you can see that I'll show you how you can actually download this once you're done with it. If you're presenting somewhere where you don't actually have this access. But see what I just did is I went from that slide over to and I just added a new slide. Oh, what? How did that not work? Let's see.
So wouldn't you have to add it
Yeah, I
in
think-
the same session, so you have like 14 and then the
There it
next
is.
one would have to
Okay,
be
thank you.
15?
Yeah, so I clicked add, and then when I clicked add, it added a new slide there for me. Thanks, Stacia. So basically, it is a way for you to, create a really cool, storyboard for yourself as you you tell your story and do your presentation. Just walked in. I know she's used Prezi before.
Okay.
What have you used Prezi for?
As far as career services is concerned, y'all that don't know me, I'm the career services coordinator here on this campus. Yay, Career Center. And what I do is I do quite a bit of presentations for our students about employability as it relates to workshops relating to interviewing etiquette, resume writing, job searching technique. Used to be PowerPoint presentations that I would use for those workshops, now Prezi.
Yeah.
Also have an introduction to the Career Center. To talk about all the services that we offer our great students as well as faculty and
Cool.
administration here. That is now in the format of a Prezi as well.
Yeah, so you see I just added that, and now it's actually, the next slide, since I added it, it's going to a different part of the screen, but then, it's going back, I've already used this Charlie, didn't I? Was this the same Charlie? Okay. Mary, you have to look for Charlies. I've got one more Charlie throughout the presentation. If you scream Prezi when you see Charlie, I've got another prize for you.
I got it.
So there's, oh, hey, Charlie. So, this is when I was actually going to sit down and show you a little bit more. It's a little easier to do this when you're actually sitting here at your desk, because that's how I'm used to doing it, honestly. I'm not used to doing Prezis on the smartboard. So, have y'all ever used this feature of Prezi? Those of you who used it, where you can, in PowerPoint, a lot of times you have to save your images and, or copy and paste them into PowerPoint, that sort of thing. I found this image right here online, but I'll show you how real quick. So, all right, so let's say I wanted to add, I'm doing this slide right here about finding an image on the web. So if I go to insert an image, it gives me the option, sure, I can select my file and find it on my computer, but the cool thing is, let's say y'all give me a keyword. What do you want to search for online? Something that isn't going to bring up, we're recording this, so.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, there we go. All right, so instead of going over to another browser and to Google, I can actually come over here and just search for, teamwork. So let's keep calm. Teamwork makes the dream. Let's see. I like this. This is cute. So you can actually click there and it processes for a second, and then it brings. See, look at that teamwork. The dog is helping the cat. The cat get some water. I wonder if that's real. That's really cool. So that's a really cool, I think this is just one of the coolest options features within Prezi, because you can search for anything. And whenever you're looking for photos, you don't have to navigate back and forth between two browsers. So let's see. Other things that you can do as far as insert symbols and shapes. So you can do, and whenever you use this tool, it always pops up, I think, on the right-hand side. So it's got different shapes, but in different formats, like sketch, etch, stickers, cute. So it's got different kind of styles of your shapes. You can use, here's diagrams. So if you wanted to just, if you want to do a very simple presentation about, something that's, in a cycle format, or there's probably there's a Venn diagram there. So just all depending on the content of your presentation, you can use these diagrams and then add the text and things like that within the diagrams. So let's see what else is in here. The YouTube videos, like I showed Mary, you missed the cool YouTube videos from earlier, but I've got one at the end, so a lot of fun. YouTube, you can actually just find the link on YouTube, and then like here's that video we watched earlier. You find the link, you get the URL and just paste it there, and then it brings the video's still right there, but it brings the video in. If you do it that way, it's really really easy. Like the background music that I've got in here, I actually just found that background music that I was playing earlier. I found it is one of those free things that comes on your computer. You always have like free clips on your computer. So I found one that was like, didn't put us to sleep. So I just went to replace background music, so I got some there. Usually just says background music. I've just found, let's see, where is it out here? Yeah, so you get what I'm saying. You just add the file in, and then it's constantly in the background. So let's wake this up a little bit. No, allow. And it's not working. All I did was add that clip, and then you can replace it. And I like to add it in there and turn it on and off as I wish. But the thing is, the background music, that video we watched earlier with the plane and everything, that was background music that they had put in. And then with autoplay, you'll see the autoplay in just a little bit. Then the background music is in the background for your presentation. So other things you can insert in here, PDFs, videos, and I've actually, have any of you used Prezi before? Actually tried to translate PowerPoint into Prezi? Have you tried that? I've tried one time, and it was very unsuccessful, and I gave up. So I've heard that you can do that, but basically what you can do is bring your PowerPoint slide in here, and I think this is actually the place where you can embed your PowerPoint into a Prezi. I think that kind of defeats the purpose as far as I'm concerned. But can y'all think of any reason you would want to link your PowerPoint in Prezi? Maybe you just didn't.
Maybe you're linking it from another site, so
yeah.
Maybe you're doing an introduction to something, but you need them to actually go to the PowerPoint to find more information.
Yeah, and this is actually the option where you can find your PowerPoint on your screen or on your computer and actually add the link there. I think it kind of defeats purpose, but that's just me. This is my presentation, so I will. All right, so those are some of the. Actually, let's keep looking at some of these options. So I put a big blue background on here, and I've got my big blank slate. This is actually, here's my Prezi login screen right here. I logged in. This is actually my personal login account. But I've got 6 Prezis in this account. This is one I created today. This is one I created last year sometime, and I updated it today. And then these two, this one right here, it doesn't actually say anything. My wife and I were going to create videos for each other, and as an anniversary gift, and we never followed through. Both of us created the first slide. This one, my first said "Open Me," and then none of us actually it wasn't our anniversary. It was for Christmas. You see, because we decided not to give each other gifts. We were going to make each other a Prezi with pictures, and neither of us actually did it. We just decided not to. We kept procrastinating to do it, but maybe I'll do it one day. I'll probably do that. So, but these two these 3 right here are Prezis that have been shared with me. So whenever you create your video or your Prezis in here, you can actually go to share, and you can add other people by just add their email address. So whenever you log in, you can access those from wherever. Right before this, Dane had actually sent me these, and he just I was chatting with him about this presentation. And he had actually just forwarded the links to me through email. I called him right before the presentation, and I said, could you share those so I could actually model how it works? And both of us were just like, I forgot you could do that, because it's hard to remember. It's a habitual thing. We all save things on our computer and then put it on a flash drive. But this is in the cloud. This is in wherever it's stored. I'm not techie like that, but it's out there for us to access wherever we want, from wherever we want. What are some other cool features that y'all use? We've talked about themes, and this is, basically if I wanted to, I don't want to do it right now because it'll change some of the look of my, but you can actually go in and, before you start, you can find your theme of how you want your, fonts and styles and that sort of thing to look. And the errors, like I showed you earlier, or I showed you on the video, but as you create your navigation, you create these brackets and things around that. So what are some other, those of you who use Prezi, am I missing any basic tools that, like I said, I've used this about 5 times actually. Am I missing anything basic that you think we should point out today? I know I'm not an expert. No?
So Brian, can you show on maybe the blank canvas when you have, how are you inserting you're going from frame to frame.
Yeah.
And then, can you just take us through
Yeah.
that process?
I will do that in just a second, yep. So, you gotta be careful with the music.
And I think the zooming in and zooming out is where I can't remember
Yeah.
how that's done.
Yeah, so the zooming in and zooming out happens. It just happens, as you create it. So we're gonna spend the last like 20 minutes just actually creating one. But this is actually, I put a lot of zooming and rotations in here because I wanted to kind of make a point. If you have a presentation that is actually gonna be auto-played, the zooming and the constant rotation of things, it can make you dizzy. And I can show you how to prevent that in a second. So you gotta make sure not to do that, especially if you're gonna auto-play it. But the thing is, as you create your canvas, as you create your different slides, you've got to make sure that it, in order to zoom, you have to put them really close to each other. So those path points, let's say if I'm on the tree, I go from the roots, up to the top. I don't just go from the roots to the top, back to the roots to the trunk and everything in that tree that we saw earlier. You create your path points and your frames around. That are sort of close to each other. They're in kind of a storybook format, so they're not zooming all around. Because I did a little bit of zooming on this. So it sounds like we could probably log in and do a little bit of creation of Prezi, and that will help us a little bit more. But those of you who've never used it before, do you think so far? Do you like what you see? Do you think you'll use it? No, yes. Yes. No. Yeah.
Yes.
Like we have to use it. Oh, hey, Charlie. Come on, y'all. I'm gonna make y'all stand up and dance. So,
That was the first.
Mary was the no, that was the last one. So before we get in there and actually look at it, more closely, this is just I found this little blog that he had a big, kind of a long. It felt like a poem, but he kind of talked about how Prezi was different. But he said it's cool. It's similar to how we think. As far as when we're telling stories, and PowerPoint's very linear, makes things. It's kind of difficult to point out things. But basically, Prezi gives you this big canvas. We're on a college campus. This one's in it. And it really helps you be creative and make things beautiful and fun. And you just got to remember that if you're using it in the most basic format, it is public. But so let's get in here and create a little bit. Does anyone want to try it? Oh, come on. Come on. All right. So.
Did you say you did so?
No? No one wants to try it? Yeah, I'm going to go back to the beginning and just start from the very beginning. All right. So I log into Prezi, go to Prezi.com. If you don't have an account, you create an account. And then you, at the top, click New Prezi. It gives you a few seconds. And then you've got your big blank canvas is what we're going to start with. Actually, let's just go ahead and just for sake of time, we'll just choose which one of these themes do y'all like? Let's see.
The old phone.
Which one? Oh, the old phone? Examine the details. Oh, wait, that's not a phone. What is it? That's a microscope. Where's the phone
Oh, maybe it's not a phone. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's off on the left.
at? Trying to give Amanda what she wants. That's a record player.
There it is.
How about the record player? Where's the phone?
For the
It looked
record.
like a phone because
Okay, we'll do the record player. Hold on. All right, so I just double clicked on that, and now I've got my, and this is the cool part. It sets this up for you, so you don't have to go in and create, all the stuff yourself. But if you want to be, a little less creative, you can do it this way. But I did it this way. But so I haven't added any content in there yet. But see, what's going to happen is if I just use a template and I go to present, the zooming happens automatically, so it's already there. So basically, you've got your slides, 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought y'all could actually see. I was thinking y'all could see my finger when I was talking about it. You've got your slides here on the left-hand side. So basically, what's going to happen is, see, I've got this is the main slide. It's basically a frame of the entire record player. But then phase 2 is actually this part. Let's see, phase 3 is this part of the record player. Phase 2, and then phase 3 is this part. So basically what's happening here is, you can actually, if I click present, it's going to start and present from where I am. I haven't added any context in here. But, so there's my record player. So if I want to tell a story about, if I'm doing a presentation on, my favorite musicians or something like that, I could choose this template, and then I can add in, I can add some, text up here over to the side about, what the title of my presentation is, and then, I could add in here my favorite musicians, and then, we're going to talk about that, and then add in some links to the YouTube videos from, some of their performances. But as I talk about all my favorite musicians, I could go through and do it that way. Instead of relying on, creativity, you can use these templates. It's really cool. This is a really short Prezi. It's just, 4 or 5 slides? Yeah, 5 slides. But let's see. I know it already has a title, so, favorite musicians. Round. But the zooming and all that stuff that happens as you go through and create. So let's say someone come up, does anyone want to try to add a new slide here? No? Come on. All right, so see, I went to frames and I chose circle. And let's say I want to, thank my sponsors for my presentation at the very end or something like that. So I added a new slide at the very end, and I'm going to zoom in right there by just clicking it. And then if I double click right there, I can just add text. So thank you, Jasha.
Yeah.
For arranging this presentation today. So I put that there. And see what happens is I'll go back to phase 4. I tried to touch the screen again. I keep doing that. Now I'm used to it. So phase 4. It goes my conclusion, and then I go back to, we'll thank our, kind of wrap up the presentation there at the end. So,
Brian, can you put frames within frames?
Yeah, actually, that's I'm glad you asked that, because I'll show you one of my presentations that I did a while back. This is actually when I applied for this job. I did a Prezi, and I actually did that as I was talking about student retention and student. Let me show you one of these. So you see what I did there is when I did this presentation right here, I was talking about Central Carolina Community College and like our learning support system and how that works. So I think I started this slide by just kind of talking about the need for a learning support model at the college, blah blah blah, and then but the first step of that is student retention. So you can actually you've got your one frame, then you can create a frame to kind of zoom in on one part of that right there. So you see, I've got a larger frame there, but then when I went to my next screen, I wanted to ask the folks I was presenting to, so why do students leave college? What do you think? Why do students leave? Why do they drop out of college? Tell me. Money. They're not ready, that sort of thing. But then I could actually go back and kind of talk about, kind of the overview of. So the framing and the things that you do within Prezi are really, really cool because you can, you just have to kind of think ahead as you're creating your presentation. Because a lot of times it's so easy for us to, just pop up text on a PowerPoint and just kind of talk through it. But this allows you to, like I said earlier, where it allows you to create these pathways so you can, kind of talk and think, as you're thinking and as you're actually, a lot of times when I'm planning presentations, I think of things and it's hard to in PowerPoint you can go and put notes at the bottom to remind yourself. But with Prezi, like what I just showed you there, I thought, okay, first when I talk about, student retention or the learning support model, I want to focus on retention first. So I was able to, it helps you plan ahead, your presentation, but it also helps you, remember what to do while you're presenting. Because a lot of times when you're presenting, you get ahead of yourself, you forget, where you are. But if you add those frames in, intentionally ahead of time, then it's easier to do that. So. These were a couple, and we only have about 10 minutes left, but these were a couple that Dane created that, actually before I show you those, what other basic questions do you have about Prezi? Or what do you not understand so far? Where's the one that, who's favorite? It makes sense, but I just confused the thing.
No, it makes sense.
Does make sense?
It's a good refresher for me because I haven't used it in a while.
Yeah, it's, you know, like it's, if you log in and actually start using it, if you've never used it before, then, you know, it starts to make sense once you use it. Like I said, it's really just different than any other application out there as far as like when you're creating presentations anyway, because you have to remember that you can, you know, share it. You can actually download it. You know, right here you can download it. I forget what kind of file it is. Forgive me, before I have to look that up. I forget what kind of file it is, but you need to make sure you have, when you're presenting, if you download the presentation and like save it on a jump drive or save it on your computer, make sure that, you know, if you take it to another computer, make sure that computer has like adequate flash and setup. You just want to test it ahead of time, because I've seen some horror stories as far as you know, trying to open up a Prezi on an older computer. It sometimes doesn't work. But the cool thing is, like I said, you can present it online. So you know, start your presentation, and it says actually right here. Actually, I didn't even know this was an option, to be honest with you, because I've never done it. It says you know, maybe this is Prezi number 2, Daisha. We're gonna have an advanced presentation.
Yeah.
You can present online, invite audience members to follow you and navigate as you present. The link expires 10 minutes after you close the presentation. 30 users can follow your presentation. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. Amanda, did you know that? Did you use it like that?
I did not use it that way.
I didn't know that was an option. So, right here, public and reusable. You know, it is. You can, you know, make it. It looks like right here you can take that off, but I still, you know, since it's a free public account, you know, even if you take that off, I really have, you know, I know that this is still, you know, able to be shared across, even if you take that off. I'm pretty sure that folks can still see it.
So you
to
have
some
to have
extent.
your own account
Yeah.
to make sure it's only your.
Yeah. Other things that are kind of confusing or anything like that, I'm going to show you a couple really good Prezis in a second, but it's just really, did anyone show up at the other campuses?
It is a little better.
Okay, just making sure. You don't want to neglect. Any other things that are, you know, just about the campus or the functionalities, the tools that that seem that you need some clarification on? No? Really, it's just a matter of getting in there and using it, and you know, just really thinking ahead. A lot of times what I do when I've done a couple Prezis before, I've got another account too that I'm not logged into, but I've gone and just made myself an outline, and then as I sit and create the Prezi, I think ahead about what I'm going to say to the folks who are there, so I can create those navigations into, you know, frame within a frame, like David said, or those kind of things, to kind of guide my story as I'm telling it. So let me show you, this is a Prezi that Dane put together that is about learning styles. And I just thought this was really cool when I saw it the first time. So the BARC is an assessment that assesses your learning styles. Has anyone ever taken the BARC? No? It's kind of like the multiple intelligence. It's all about your preferred learning style. So it was really cool. This is a presentation that he created, and I don't think this is a template. It might be. If it is a template, he's taken it kind of to the next level, because basically I think he uses maybe in some ACA classes and that sort of thing, but it helps you look at your different learning styles, whether you're kinesthetic, or a visual learner. So as he's presenting to his students, he has a really cool way to kind of go through and talk with the students about the different types of learning. And then he's put in some pretty cool, and this is Venn diagrams there. And then this is a point where he would kind of stop the class and before they've taken the BARC, just ask them, what kind of learners do you think you are? And so he obviously uses this during class. Let's find out. So this is a point where he would stop kind of doing an assignment during his class, like have them fill out the BARC, and then let them know wrong answers, and then actually creating their scores so they can talk about it a little bit more about their different learning styles. So I just thought that was a really good representation of how to use Prezi. And there's another one that looks like it's the best practices in tutoring. So, but tell me about yourselves, and then tutoring versus lecturing. So he's kind of starting off with some some basic points about tutoring and how it happens, and group versus 101. But then it goes into he's actually talking about the best practices. He just made it very simple. Set goals up front, and it's just kind of going down. You see on the actual license for education use only. Looks like he's made it. So he's created this ladder here with different frames that are just kind of going down the basic practices of tutoring. So I just thought these were pretty well done when I saw them, so I just thought I'd show them to you. So we've got 5 minutes left, but y'all have any basic questions or major questions that are still kind of left unanswered? Do you want to try to get up here and use it? No? No? I don't have any more prizes, I'm sorry. So just to recap, you can, there's Justin again. You've got your canvas, you be creative, again, be really careful about how you zoom in and out, just think of it as telling your story, and and also remember, this is a really cool thing that I thought about is the more you use Prezi, and use it for certain things, SEO optimization. I should have written it down. Basically, the more you use Prezi, if you're doing Prezi for different, for career services or for distance education or instructional technology or human resource, the more you use Prezi and use keywords in here when folks search for things, we were talking about Google searching earlier before. The more the search, the SEO, what does it stand for? It's okay. I'm gonna remember it. Optimization is the last word. But it gives you it has a very high preference when folks are searching on Google. So if you're doing a presentation on instructional technology and you want folks to see it, then create those search engine options. Thank you. That makes sense because it's searching. So if you all are creating those things, creating those type of presentations on Prezi, and then more folks around the world and around the state, different things are going to see that, because if they go on Google, North Carolina, distance education, and you've got some Prezis out there, it's probably going to be pretty high up in the search engine on Google. So that's a really cool.
I actually searched for some information on something we were doing at the Writing Center, and actually found Prezis made by people here.
I've done the same. Yeah, I've done the same thing.
Very cool.
All right, so y'all can dance out of here. This is Justin again. So thanks for coming. Thanks, Daisha, for having me in.
Thank you, Brian. Good job.